Do as I say and not as I do. What kind of parenting is that? Hey, hey, and welcome to Shift Real Talk, where we unlock sometimes uncomfortable truths and we real talk about issues of love, life, and relationships. And today we have a hot one for you. Our topic is parenting. Do as I say and not as I do. I'm your girl, Lady Free.
I'm your boy, Pastor J.
And Zania.
Y'all, we have a new co-host, Miss Zania. Welcome, Miss Zania. Let's get some claps. I'm doing my own sound effects. Yes, Miss Zania is in the house. So today, y'all,
There you go. There you go.
clap, 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 clap. All right, y'all. Today we are talking about parenting. This is a very taboo subject in these times in this
Yes, it
season.
is.
So we are talking about parenting.
So, well, I want to delve into this, y'all.
No, you good, babe.
But first of all, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in with us. Thank you for jumping in with us, man. We appreciate you. We love you, guys. But I want to start this conversation off with a question. And y'all are the mothers, because y'all are truly mothers.
Right.
Look, and I really want to ask y'all some questions. I want to ask y'all what is the difference between us as kids and the kids today?
Ooh, that's a good one. You already know I'm going to let you take that one. Take that one first.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, first, that's a heavy question though, because there are a lot of differences, but when it comes down to it, the kids of this generation they're very privileged. Um Not only, and it's our faults because we didn't want them to endure what we endured, but I'll get to that later. Another difference, to answer your question, another difference is they are a rebellious generation where we kind of submitted to authority. They rebel against authority.
Mm-hmm.
Um I don't want to take all of them because it's just like I said, it's so much, but
What you
their
got? What you
mindsets
got?
are different.
What
So
you got?
Elma,
Because
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
let
to
you.
come down. I got
And
something for y'all. Come on. What you got?
So what I'm thinking is the respect level was different. There was authority. Like there was a certain way you treated those who were older than you. There was a level of I guess everybody had their place. You had the adults and you had the children. Like growing up as children, when adults was all in the living room talking and having conversation, children were not allowed to come in there. We was all in our room playing. You know, we knew we couldn't butt into conversations. You don't even hear that anymore. Don't butt into conversations. You know, today children are allowed to be free for all. They in the conversation. They hearing things they shouldn't hear. Parents are talking to children about issues that they can't really comprehend yet. So therefore, a lot of our children, and grown. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes.
We used to have ponytails and play with baby dolls, and they say, "Girl, get in that room and stop being grown." But today, the grown is different. It looks different.
So again, for those of you out just tuning in, thank y'all for tuning in with us, y'all. My boy A. Thornton, Tony Bird, the Tony
Hey,
Bird,
hey.
Patricia McDonald, man, thank you. We love you. You've been tuning in with us for the last
Absolutely.
couple
Hey,
of weeks. You are our
Patricia.
family. So listen, y'all. The question that I asked, and I want you guys on that's tuning in with us to chime in.
Put it in the
The
chat.
question that I asked is, what is the difference between us as kids and the kids today? Now, I want to answer it, and I want y'all to chime in
Okay.
on what I say. Our life experiences are not different.
Okay, you're going to have to really go deeper than that.
Because as kids, we experience the same thing. There is nothing different that we experience. It's just how we experience it makes it different. You know what I'm saying? We grow up in a parent home, whether it's single or dual. We grow up in these parental homes. We go to school. We learn life lessons. That nothing has changed. Now, what makes it different from today is, as kids, pregnancy is celebrated, not educated. We don't give information on pregnancy. We celebrate it. So what happens is when we celebrate a kid having a baby, then what we don't do is give them the tools even before that. Now, before, because here's one of the things that when my mother, no, you don't have sex before marriage. This was something that was told.
Right.
So we understood that. That's not told. So again, guess what, girl? My baby is pregnant. I'm about to be a grandmother. Huh?
Excuse me, a G-ma.
I'm about to be a G-ma.
Grandma. Wait.
Huh? How do you okay, my first question is, I done became a natural father. So even if it's not my daughter or not my son, the first thing I ask is, are they married? Now, I may seem a little off asking that because they're like, who you think you are? But this is how I was brought up.
Right.
Because we didn't celebrate that if you were not married. Because guess what now we do? We have baby showers. We celebrate it. We celebrate the pregnancy.
And like you said, your mom was like, you don't have sex before marriage.
You don't have sex.
Because to me, that was her setting the standard. Even though she knew it was out there, she wasn't oblivious to what was actually going on in the world. But what we do today, another difference is, instead of us saying you don't have sex before marriage, say no to drugs, the things the standard that was high for us, now it's like, girl, please, that's unrealistic.
Yeah. Even in church. Like, okay, now there was a little controversy that went out about this pastor who put this young lady on blast, made her get up in front of the church.
Right, I remember that.
Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was trending on social media. The pastor made her get up. Now, that's how I grew up. Because in church, when you got pregnant and you wasn't married, they made you get up in front of the church.
Yeah.
And now one thing I didn't agree with was they only made the woman get up, but they didn't. The dude was still on the organ, or he was still playing the drums while the mother was made the spectacle. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't agree with any of that.
I don't agree with that. But again, I grew up with that. I went to St. John Five Baptist Holy Church in Brooklyn, New York, and the women could not wear pants. They could not. They could not wear pants. Even when we went out like on church picnics, the women had to wear jean skirts.
Right.
They couldn't wear pants.
But see, I think some of that is why this generation is the way they are, because how it traumatized us. We made sure that our kids didn't go through that embarrassment, and so because we protected them and shielded them from so much. Even when it comes down to their own lives, they don't have the fight that we had. We knew how to persevere through some things. They crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
which goes, I'm gonna say, but which segues into the next one I'm about to say.
Okay.
The development is different, but when it comes to developing the emotions, that is not. It is at all. Is low.
What you mean?
Meaning that development comes from, because they have a lot more access to information. So you don't have to teach it to kids. They can just get on their phone and learn it or learn what society is teaching. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it doesn't teach them how to deal with their emotions, because what they do is they become angry. It's okay for them to be angry. Oh, they just... He's not feeling good today. No.
Right.
He's not feeling good today. So we don't develop our kids' emotions today.
I was going to say that. So when we saw the person having to get up in front of the church and say that they were pregnant, we just got angry about it. We just got, why they making her do that? Instead of there being some kind of education behind, how do you feel about that or whatever. So I don't take away from the fact that today we should talk to our kids a little bit more, kind of like have those conversations with them, as opposed to our parents who just say, look, get on out of here. That's grown folk business. There are some things that we should educate them on more so than we were educated about, the pains that we don't want to raise our kid. I'm not going to raise my kid up. I ain't going to do this. Instead of just making an extreme of it and say, I'm not going to do it. Understand the balance in it and saying, well, the reason why, I will consider it is because, number one, this and that, and then there's an education behind it. But when it comes down to our topic, as far as do as I say and not as I do, how do you feel that parents today are actually displaying that as opposed to back in the day?
I think it's the same.
What do you
honestly
mean?
Because, okay, we grew up hearing that. Do as I say. But Ma, you do it. Don't do as I do. You do as I say. That's how we grew up.
Right.
Now, we as parents today may not say that, but we're doing the same thing. We teach different than what we're acting out, and what we expect our child to do as we're saying, but that's not reality. They gonna copy what they see more than what they hear.
Right.
I think it's different, and I'm gonna tell you why I think it's different. Because today, like you said earlier, a lot of us as parents today, we're raising our kids like, they're pretty much our friends. There's a level of friendship, or there's a level of transparency that we display to our kids as we did back until we did back in the days. Because back in the days, there was you couldn't even be in a room when grown folks were talking.
Right.
You couldn't. Today, kids talk to grown folk. They talk back to grown folk. You know what I'm saying? So our level of transparency is a lot more open today. So what we do now is we say, don't do what I do what I say. But again, because our level of transparency, we expose to the kids what we do, it's not well respected because they see what we do.
Right.
But we tell them, instead of being the example, now you are supposed to differentiate what kids are supposed to be as a kid.
Right.
You don't get in grown folk conversation. You don't get in grown people's business. I was taught that. I knew how to. I went in the room. I wouldn't. If grown folk was in there talking, ain't nobody here in your age. You get in that room and you do what kids do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we don't do that today. Kids are running around and they become the topic because, again, we are raising them from the fact that we had to go into the room and we didn't like that. So because we had to go into the room, there was a level of how we felt about it. So we don't do that to our kids.
Right.
So we're a lot more open to them being around grown folks because of that, what we felt going into, you know what I'm saying, of actually being that kid. So I think it's totally unbalanced when it comes to what we did. That's why I asked that question. What was the difference today as opposed to when we were kids? And I like I said, going into the voice that when we say do as I say, what we've trained our kids is to listen, or to make the voice of the parent the voice that sticks when they get older. My wife asked me that question today. What about that, what you say is supposed to be important? But we got to be careful because a lot of times we grow up remembering what mama said. We grow up remembering what daddy said. So we take that as life lessons. And when it comes to really being what God wants us to be as individuals, what we remember is mama's voice. What we remember is mama's or daddy's voice. Or if dad wasn't there, we had to hear mama try to be the man to teach us she couldn't teach us how to be a man, but she did what she could. So we remembered mama told us to be tough. Mama told us you don't take no mess. Mama said you don't let nobody do this. You don't let nobody call you out your name. You don't let nobody. And mama had to do that because mama was the voice. And even when daddy was there, daddy ain't had no say because mama was the voice. She was to do as I say. So it has been the infrastructure has been infrastructed because of how unbalanced that information was when mama was the voice that was heard. Because I'm sorry not to take up, but y'all go ahead.
No,
I
you're
like
not
what
taking up.
Ashley said. She said some
Uh-huh.
parents are saying anything or doing anything is so sad.
Mhm.
There are some parents that are allowing the children to say, and the parent
Yes.
is actually doing it. And
Yes.
Wow.
reading her comment kind
Absolutely.
of like reminded me. I remember this is years and years and years ago. I had went to a club because one of my friends said, "Come on, girl, come celebrate my birthday." So I went to the club and I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and it was a hole in the wall. So I had to hold the door for the stranger because it kept opening. And when she came out the stall, and I think I told the story before, but if not, she came out the stall. She said, "Girl, thank you so much. Like, you so nice. You so sweet." And
Yes.
she said, "What's your name?" And I told her my name. She said, "My name," and she said her name was Female Dog.
Ooh.
That's how she said.
She
She said,
said the
"Well,
word.
yeah." And she said, "Well, not really. My real name is blah, but you could just call me Female Dog." And I said, "Well, why is that your name?" She said, "Girl, my mama, I was raised like that. My mama called me that. Everybody just called me that, just so that's who I am. You could just call me that." And my heart broke in that moment because that was her reality, which showed me that was her mom's reality, that you would feel comfortable calling your daughter that. So a lot of times, like the guidance and everything that we're saying, there's no guidance there. Like Ashley said, that it brought me back to that moment to where it's not do as I say and not as I do, because I don't even know that what I'm doing is incorrect.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
all you could do is follow me because this is all I know.
And you
Yeah.
know what I got from what Ashley said? The children are the ones that's saying it, and the mother's doing what the children say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
children are telling the parents what to do. So it flipped it like, okay, do as I say, not as I do. Basically, the child is saying it and the parents are doing it. So it's almost like the whole parenting foundation has been flipped upside down. The structure has been
Mm-hmm.
flipped upside down.
Yeah.
So
It's been.
the whole
Thank you
the
for your
whole
comment, Patricia.
system the whole system is like it has been interrupted, and now the children are the ones that's really running the show. But how did they get there though? The children, yeah, they're there and they're doing what they're doing, but how did they get there? And from what Pastor Jay was just saying, it seems like that we raised our children on a lot of dislikes. I
Friends.
didn't like this, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do this. I didn't like when this happened, so I'm not.
Come on.
I'll never let. So we raised our children on a foundation of dislikes, and therefore the things that we didn't like, the things that traumatized us, caused us to go into substance abuse, caused us to go into pornography, caused us to go
Yes.
into a lot of
Absolutely.
various ways to numb pain. And so now we'll tell our kids, do as I say, not as I do, because there could be a stronghold there of smoking or drinking or cursing or whatever. And even though I may want to stop, I may not be able to stop so easily because I'm not relying on God to help me stop. So do as I say. Girl, you better not cuss. I better not hear you cuss. But mama, you cuss.
Yeah.
Don't you lie. Hello. My mama said that she not here right now. You
Yeah. We.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Teaching them not to lie.
So
We
we're
learn to.
teaching
Yeah.
them that it's a confused and it's a conflicting message that we're teaching them. So they
Absolutely.
raised
Mm-hmm.
up in our conflicting and confusing messages that we get across to them. And then not only are we doing that, we're raising them up on pain. We're raising them up on our dislikes. We're raising them up.
Absolutely.
So therefore, now when we see the product of all of what we've raised them to be, now instead of them doing the do as I say and not as I do, they're saying and we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you. We got a new watcher today, Shania Healed McGaney. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for tuning
Hey,
in
Hello,
with us.
Shanae.
Shania. Oh, that's
Her
Shanae.
name is
Shanae.
Shanae.
Hi,
Hey,
Shanae.
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 Hey, Shanae. Hey, girl.
Okay, so let me read Patricia McDonald's comment. She says, "Children are my explore. Children may explore. Then okay, let me not read it yet. Let me read it first to myself so I can get an understanding of what she's saying. Then I'll come
Yeah,
back to it.
but until you say that to get that together, I just want to say that this is why it's so important that we understand child development. It is so important that we understand child development because we could be raising the next bank robber or we could be raising the next president. or we could be raising the next bishop, or we could be raising the next killer. You know,
My goodness.
and it's the God's honest truth. We don't understand how important child development. It is so important, and we have to be intentional of the information that we put into our kids. That's why do as I say. It's supposed to be what you say is information that develops the kid. It's information that develops our children. So you have to give them. And if you don't know what to say, because a lot of times as parents, we don't, some of us have been our parents for the first time. And we don't know the information to give.
Right.
Because there are no parenting books. But one thing I'm learning, even as I'm taking up, these counseling courses that I'm taking in school, I'm learning that there is information that's studied, through tests and through other counselors and through other people that do the information. They get study from psychologists, they get study from scientists, they get study from psychiatrists, from mental therapists, from therapists. They get study from that. And then there's information that's got strictly out of from the Word of God. There's the Word of God that has all of the information.
Right.
And the study, it is not studied, but it has been written.
Right.
It ain't been studied. It's been written. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah. I am that.
I am that. I am the emotion.
Yeah.
I am the way. So if we are able to, like I said, if we don't understand the information that we need to give, then there's one who has the information that we can give. That's now it becomes do what I say, because I'm giving you information.
And do as I do.
I'm giving you information that's going to develop you.
Yeah.
And then when you recognize the information, and then not only am I giving you the information, I'm an example of the information that I'm giving you, then guess what happens? There's a level of development. There's a level of respect that goes on. There's a level of, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to develop you because it is my job. Understand the responsibility. I'm sorry, y'all, but understand there is a responsibility that we have. God has given us the responsibility to do what? To train up these children in the way that they should go.
Yeah.
So when they get old, they won't depart from it. So it is our duty to help them to get to that place that they're able to now go out to guess what? Now be able to give the information that was given to them.
And experience
that was given to us.
And experience it. And you said something. You said it was our responsibility not to train people. I ain't training. No, it's our responsibility to train up. That's where the standard is.
Yeah.
The standard is here. So if you always have a standard that's high, then you always give them something to reach up to. And as they're reaching up, they're going to be looking up to the one that can help them. So as I say do these things, when I'm doing it according to what you just said, what the Word of God teaches us about everything, you can't find, there's not one thing that you cannot find in the Word of God as it pertains to your situation. You just have to read it and then allow the Spirit of the Word to give you clarity, because it's alive, y'all. It's alive. So with that being said, now that I'm saying do it, I'm a reflection of what I'm telling you, so now you can see how to do it.
Yes.
And I hate to play devil's advocate here, but we've all said it several times in this conversation, but we have a culture of unhealed people that you're saying, let's have this standard up here, when they don't even know how to get over what's right here. So every time they get here, they keep going back down because they don't know how to overcome it. So how can I pull somebody up here if I can't even pull myself up there? We have a culture of, what would you say to that parent who says, I do want better for my child, but I don't even know how to do it for myself?
We got a comment on that kind of addresses that, and I help address that. Let me just read Patricia. She said, what parents be talking about children not supposed to hear, because parents' ear hears everything and it's not for children to hear. Yes, but this is what Ashley put. She said, I feel like older generation parents have some gems and newer ones do too. The older generation taught us to bury emotions and keep it moving. No emotional intelligence, but this generation is saying express all of you emotions at the moment no emotional tolerance. We need to find a balance. So I agree that I agree that they have gems. This generation does have information, but I think that information is filtered because our emotions are tied into information that we need to give out. Because again, like I said earlier, what is the difference between us as kids when we were growing up and the kids today? And I said the difference is we go through the same experience. So our experience is pretty much the same. So the information does not change. It's how much access to the information that changes.
And that's how we
help them. And so again, it's like don't be afraid to just give the information. I don't care if you may feel like this information may not help. There were some things that my mother told me that I didn't understand when I was little because I thought as a child.
Yeah.
I didn't think as the adult who knew where I was going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't think as that because again, that's a different level of experience. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go through that experience. But when she told me at that point where I was at, I didn't see it until I experienced and got to understanding when I got to that age. That's why she told me what she told me. I was like, whoa, man, because, my mother said I can't go. My mama said, no. Why, mama? I don't want to go. Now, that's expressing emotions. No. If I say no, it's no. You may not understand why it's no, but understand it's no. And again, you'll understand by and by. Right. Now, I guess these days we have to explain why we say no because, there's my mother didn't explain no. The no was no, and she meant no. But again, like I said, I didn't understand what that no meant. I was upset about it, but I knew what it meant when I had to do that with my kids. Exactly. No, it was like, oh, he don't understand why there's a no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't understand, but there's a level of protection.
Yeah.
And God does it to us all the time. Every denial that God has in our life does not mean he's hurting us. We may not see the protection down the road.
Right.
So he may say, no, it's not for you to get that house right now. Right. And we may, oh man, I'm doing everything. I'm paying my time. I really want this house. I really want it, and I really want it. But God is saying no, and he's not saying no to you, but he may be. He's saying no to you. But what we don't understand is the level of protection why God is saying no, and we have to really be in that place to understand why he is saying or what saying what he's saying, so we can hear.
And you was talking about understanding, like not being able, like how we didn't understand what our parents was going through.
Yes.
Which ties me back to what Zany Yah said. She just was basically saying, how do you teach somebody those things that it's like they don't know the standard, that high standard. They only know this, and it's like I really do want to teach my children, but I don't know how to help myself. So the way I would say to help that person is the same thing as what he just read as far as Ashley's comment, the gems that some people have. We got to get back to our villages. We have to get back to getting surrounded by those people that may know something that you don't know. That we have to get away from how offensive we feel when somebody comes alongside of us and tells us something about our child. It's like you're in the situation, you're praying, asking God for help, or you may not even be praying. God may just love you so much that he's sending somebody into your life that will be able to impart into your life about some things that are seen that will help better not only the relationship you have with your child, but also better your life and your child's life individually. We have to get back to that village. We have to get back to asking God, send people that will help me to understand how to do this in a better way, because I don't know how to do it. Like, all I was ever told was, you don't let a man do this and you don't let a man do that. But at the same time, I saw my mama with a man all the time, a different man all the time. You don't never trust a man, which makes me feel like to not trust him means not to bring him close. But I always saw with my eyes her bringing him close. She always said, or my dad always said, man, you better be tough. You better be tough. But when I saw him in a situation, his toughness didn't look like the toughness that I heard in church.
Gotcha.
You know, so it's like bring the village back, but don't just bring anybody back into the circle. Bring people into your circle who you know will sharpen you, who you know you can trust and actually does love you and your family enough to speak truth to power. Because growth does hurt. And sometimes we have to stop being so in our emotions and our feelings to the point where we don't like nobody to tell us nothing about us or about our children. Sometimes it's necessary for us to hear what people are saying about our children to us, and then maybe we should take a look and say, you know what? That is true. He does do that, Lord. Where does that come from? Help me, because I don't know how to do it.
Or even being open to someone telling you about you as a parent, because I like
Right.
what you're saying as far as that village. Like sometimes your child may feel more comfortable expressing something to somebody else because they feel like you don't have the understanding to understand where I'm coming from,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from an old school um philosophy or thinking, and I'm trying to make you understand what I'm experiencing in today's age, just like kind of how
Yeah.
we felt with our parents. We felt like, and I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm with you, Jesse. As I got older, I appreciate some of the things that I hated, right?
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
some of the things did kind of like I had to heal from at the same token.
Right.
And in the same thing, I'm not saying, oh, throw everything away that you have, your foundation as a parent. But when somebody else comes in and because your child has said something and they have wisdom for you, don't be like, don't tell me how to raise my child. No, listen. Like somebody used to tell me, take the meat, throw away the bone.
Right.
Like everything may not apply, but take the meat, throw away the bone. But if you're close to even accepting the meat, then you're gonna throw away the whole chicken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes we have to be open enough to hear somebody, because I look at my 3-year old and they come out naturally wired different. Like for real. Like if I didn't have my 3-year old, probably people couldn't tell me. And I'd be like, nah. Because after I raised my others, in their generation, my 3-year old came out already with her own mindset or her
Right.
own likes and dislikes. And I literally had to find out how to communicate with her in a way that was received, because I was trying my old school methods and they were being rejected. And I'm like, you too young to be rejecting this already. But again, they come out already wired the way they wired. And so I had to figure out how to get her to listen to correction without rejecting it already at 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so crazy. But also, I had to also, as a parent, listen to my older kids when they said, Mom, it may have looked like it worked, but it didn't.
Wow.
I was behind your back. I was doing this. And I had to listen to that. And it was hard to swallow, because who
Right.
wants to hear from their child a correction, right? But respectfully, they came to me and said, Mom, that didn't work for us.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that my 3-year-old was receiving my information better.
Mm.
I'm glad you said that because I got you and Ashley because
Okay.
Ashley said, but the experiences are not the same at all. She got at all in caps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming for you, Ashley. Love you, sis. There are some things, character things, that I definitely kept and gave to my children, which are root things. But what children are experiencing things today, which are new, they don't know how to navigate, and parents are struggling to understand. So here's the thing. Let me help you real quickly. The fastest thing that develops in a human's body is the mind. The mind is 75% developed as an adult, as an infant.
So 75% of the size of an adult brain.
The brain is developed 75% as an adult, as an infant.
and when they're an infant.
When they're an infant,
Okay,
their
okay.
brain is developed 75% as an adult. They have a 75% of an adult mind.
Okay, there you go.
That's why I said, let me come back.
There you go.
They are developed. That is the fastest thing that develops in the body is the brain. This is why so much of the battlefield, why you think the Lord said that? The battlefield is in the what? It's in the mind.
Right.
Where you think all of the struggles are, it's in the mind.
Yeah.
Everything you see, it goes to what? It goes to here, what you see, and then it goes to your mind. That's the trick. So we believe, I believe information is given. Now, what we do with the information is sometimes the information, because we think that, now here's the development part. We think that what was given to me, it didn't work. How do we know what works when we don't know what works?
Wow, come on.
How do we know what won't work when we don't know what won't work?
Right.
We don't know. All we know is what happens is, even when you go to school, you study to do what? To get information, to learn from the information, to do what? To grow in the information that you learn. There's a risk going on in school. There's a risk because you don't know if this information is going. Now, a lot of us took math and geometry and all, and we said to ourselves, what is this going to do for us when we get out of school?
Right.
What is this going? I don't do geometry problems now.
Right.
And I'm 50. I don't do geometry problems, but this is information that I had to take when I was little.
But I'm not gonna get into that. I'm a math person, so you kind of do, but I ain't gonna get into that.
But see what I'm saying though. The mindset is, how is that going to help me? Because it's like
that was the mindset.
That's
right.
the mindset. But I'm just saying that is the information comes from what? Experience. And it comes from study, and it comes from, you know what I'm saying? But there is the same information that we get. There's no different, because what we say is, well, it don't work for this one. It don't work for this one. It didn't work for us back then, or it worked for us back then, and it worked for us. It worked for some kids today, and it worked for some kids. The information does not change. We change it. We filter the information because in our mind we saying this may not work. But the information, there's not, the Bible, let me go back to the, because I know the scripture. The Bible is the same today, yesterday, and what? Forevermore. But guess what we go back to refer to help us today? Well, guess what we go back to refer to help us yesterday? That same word that never changes. So the information in there, it helps us not only today, but to come, in years to come. So what I'm saying is the information is the same. We go and think that because it's a different generation, it's not going to work for the new generation. The only thing, I hear people say this all the time, there's nothing new under the sun.
That's what the words say.
There's nothing new under the sun. So whatever we are experiencing today don't mean that today's society won't accept what happened or what we had to enforce back in the day. That don't mean that at all. That we just not going back to that, because I remember I came out and trust me, I done went through some things that should have kept, when I say destroy my mind, and it did. But the point was, it did that because it was to help to develop me to where I am today. So just because it didn't work then, don't mean it's not going to work. What is our job to do?
Wait, what do you mean? Just because it didn't work then doesn't mean it's not going to work.
One plants, one waters, but God does what? Give the increase.
Right.
It is our job to do what? Sow the seed.
Yeah.
So just because the seed didn't grow back when we planted it, don't mean it's not going to grow.
I see. Don't
mean it's not going to grow. The seed is going to grow. We got to give the same information. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think we're saying the same thing, Jesse. So listen to what I said. I didn't say get rid of everything, because the foundational things, it does go from generation to generation. I get excited when I talk. No, you're fine. Okay. All I'm saying is you have to be open for new information as well in parenting.
Yes. Right.
Because there are new things happening as well that, for instance, I like what Ashley said. We didn't have to so much worry about transgender in the school as much as they do now. We didn't have to worry about actually sex in the school as much as it happens today.
Right.
Like, don't say it did happen in school. Don't get me wrong, but in the amount of it that's happening, it's like It's expected even of you to have girl on girl action in school today.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to worry about that.
That's true.
Absolutely.
So, I'm not saying get rid of the foundational things, because that remains, right? But there are some things that they are challenged with that we have to be open to receive information so that we can help them overcome, to even understand their own identity, because they're even struggling with their own identities because they have so much coming at them from everywhere. So, just us as parents knowing how to help them to understand their identity and stand on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what you were saying as far as like the things that they go through now. So yes, Jesse, the kids still go to school like how we went to school. They still have to wake up in the morning to go to church on Sunday, some of them, like how we did. They still have to. We get it. The things they do are the same, but the journey in which they go through it, how they navigate it is different. The experiences are different. So yes, you're going to school, but just like Zania says, when you go to school, you experiencing this. When we went to school, we experienced that. The body issues that one little girl, 15 years old, it was a panel she was on, and she was talking about social media and how at 15 she got her first phone, and then she saw her parents was talking about some kind of app that kind of got them connected, and it probably was Twitter, Facebook, I don't know, but that got them connected with old friends and made them excited about the community. Hearing that as a child, what she did when she got her first phone was she went to that same app and she hit the explore button. I don't know which app this is, but she said she hit the explore button. She was bullied at school already as being kind of overweight, and once she hit that explore button, some things that came up for her was how to be this image and how to make people this and and all of that stuff. So therefore her body image she started to get from off of social media. We didn't have that back then.
Yes.
We were tomboys at the age of 14, 15 years old, and we grew out of our tomboy stage. Today, tomboys are considered, oh, you gay. It's like, no, I'm going through my tomboy stage. It happens to every female. Our little breasts start coming in. We don't want to wear the training bra because we nervous about what people going to see through our shirt. Some little girls' booty done grew a little bigger than ours, and we ain't got nothing. Our thighs, and as girls, we go through that, so we hide in bigger clothes. That's what we used to do. And we took our tomboy stage on, but today, that stage is considered something else. So the things that they have to go through are the same, but the experiences in which they go through them are different. So as parents, we have to be more intentional and be more aware of actually what's going on out there so that we can educate them and help them to become productive.
Check this out. Now, it is true that before you were formed in the womb, God knew you. Mm-hmm. He knew what you was going to struggle with. He knew everything that was going to happen because he knew you.
Right.
And I say this a lot. The reason why a lot of us go through experiences is because we don't listen to instruction. So experience is what is the thing that's supposed to get us lined up. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when we go through the experience is it is like the worst thing that happened to a lot of us, and we can't handle the experience. But the experience was never put in our life to destroy how we think. It wasn't put in our life to destroy how we feel. But this is what happens. We get destroyed by going through certain situations. But there's nothing that happens in our life that God does not allow. And he allows it because we don't listen to instruction. Look at the people of Israel, the children of Israel. They went through so many periods in the Bible where they didn't listen to God. They started worshiping other gods. And what happened? They went into captivity of their own level of thinking. Mm-hmm. And God had to take them through the experience to do what? To get their attention. So I say this, it's important for us to understand that if we're getting to the point where we're going through an experience that we think is really turmoil for us, or this is the worst thing that I went through. I have to going through losing my job, or had to go through losing a relationship, or I had to go through. These are things that God puts in our life because we are not listening.
Not all.
We are not listening.
Not all
That is
things.
the most effective, because there are people that I'm a living witness.
Right.
I went through half of the stuff that I went through, and it was, I promise you, I went through some hell. I went to hell and came back. I experienced some things, and even as a child, I've experienced some things. But it was to teach me, to give me all the tools that I needed today, because I come across people who actually go through the same thing that I went through as a child.
I do agree that God allows or ordains, because he may be telling you no on something and you go anyway, and he uses that experience that you went through to help. So he allows it because he's not going to make us do anything. He wants us to desire to do what is right and be obedient. But the thing about it is, some people, children, go through things that they don't bring on themselves and not to get the attention. And it's those things it's like maybe asking God, why did I go through this experience? Help me to understand the lesson you would have had me to go through. What were you trying to teach me, Lord? We get in our emotions because we don't know nothing else to do. Yeah, the information is there, but what about those families who don't understand or have the information? What about those families who aren't saved yet and they just don't know? You know, we have to speak to those people too. They don't have the information of the Bible, and they don't have the studying that has been done to understand how God deals with and how he created us and how he did this, then the third. And that's what I think Real Talk is about, because we address issues that are going on in life, but then we back it up with the word of God, so that whoever hears this podcast will be able to say, I didn't know that, but now I know that I can go to the word and find my situation in there. If I study and if I seek God, he's going to come to a place of showing me and revealing to me what it is. Why did I get molested when I was not even 5-6 years old? Good. You know, why did that happen to me? I truly believe that these things happen to us because they're a part of the purpose and the mission that God has for us to do in this world. And he uses that because now that person can talk to someone or talk to little kids who are going through that when they normally don't feel like they can go to anybody. And those things that they go through causes all kind of insecurities in them. They hide. They think everybody can see them. They think they're filthy. And that person that went through that as a child, who allowed God to intervene and help them grow from his word, which is the only nourishing word that'll quench your thirst, those people will be able to talk to those little kids and say, I went through that too. You don't have to feel like this. I remember I felt like that too. So I do believe God can use every experience we go through for the mission and the purpose and the destiny he has for our life. I do believe that, but I don't believe that every child or every person goes through what they're going through because God's trying to get their attention. Some of them, yes, but not all.
And I was going to say, just to use your example earlier, like, I don't think you realize you are literally saying the same things we're saying. You're just taking a different approach with how you handle it, because you said the children of Israel, right, and how they were destroyed. But the truth was, yes, they kept rejecting God, but what was their real reason for being destroyed? It was fear, and the fear all lied in them not knowing who they were. Even though God kept telling them, you can be victorious, you can go in the land, you can do this, I have this for you. But because they looked at themselves as grasshoppers in their own eyes. Nobody told them that. They told themselves that. And self-identity, when you fully don't understand that, will cause you to miss out on a lot. And it will cause you also to hear the voice of God and still reject it, because what I believe about myself sometimes will be stronger than what he says about me. So to use your own example, they really, like, was held back from them because of their own selves. They really didn't know who they really were and how God was really taking care of them.
Everybody that God used in the Bible didn't know themselves. Moses, he didn't think that he could do it. He felt very inadequate. Gideon, he was afraid. David,
Abraham.
Everybody that God used did not have that self
I agree.
awareness about himself. What it was they again they had to continually get confirmation. They had to get the information. And even in the fact of getting what God was trying to show them, that he knew what was inside of them, because a lot of times we don't know what's inside of them, but God knows.
God knows.
We don't know. God, we don't. If we could see through God's eyes like we should, but we don't. If we really could, we would not go 40 years. We wouldn't go 50 years going around in the circle trying to figure it out ourselves, because that's what happens when we don't listen to God telling us, I don't care who you are. I want to use you. I want to use the fact that you can't talk right. I want to use the fact that you sitting in the doggone pit and you throwing grapes up because you're scared to get destroyed by the army. You know what I'm saying? I want to use you. And God, and so the point is, the fact that, I hear what you're saying, and that's true. But I truly believe that a lot of things that we go through is because of we don't listen. We don't hear the voice. We don't hear the information, because what we're going through, because again, it was the fear that stopped Gideon from being the great warrior that God called him to be. It was the fear that Moses had that stopped him, and it really didn't stop him, but it delayed, because he really honestly wanted to do it. Then God kept showing him, and he does it to us all the time. I'm gonna let Aaron talk for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure that you get what I have for you. I'm gonna make sure that but we don't listen. The information is there for us to do it. The information and not only the information, God is there with us though. He said, I'll be with you even to the end of the earth. I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you.
Which is so beautiful, which helps me to see, and just hearing what you were saying, the first thing I'm thinking is, thank you, God, for showing us that everybody you use didn't know their identity. Thank you, God, for showing us that everybody you use either had a fear issue or this issue or that issue, because it makes me feel better to know that I'm in good company, because now I know God can still use me because of my insecurities or because of my this and that. And why did the children of Israel see themselves as grasshoppers? They were in bondage for how many years? They were slaves. The mentality they had was a low mentality of themselves. So for those people who have been in situations where their mentality is low, he can still use you. Where you are insecure, you don't understand what you do have a stuttering problem, you do have this, you are going through that, he can still use you, because every single person in the Bible he used and helped them understand their identity. He used and helped them to be a bold speaker. He used and helped them to be somebody that delivers others out of bondage. So when you do it with God, just know that everything you're going through, he's going to use to better not only you, but affect somebody else's life.
Before I let you speak, I was trying to get to this thing, because what happens is the fear is what drives us. Instead of understanding, this is why we cause a lot of things. That's what you said. I don't believe that people, sometimes when they don't have it or they don't, I forgot what you said, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of times we allow the fear to be the driving force of how we respond to a lot of things. And there were great people who dealt with the fear, but really had to submit to the voice of God.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, when we allow that very thing to take over us, this is how we move into responding to or not responding to information that's given to us, because we're allowing the fear. We're protecting the fear. Oh, I've been through this and they destroyed me, or they took over this land, and or they made me feel a certain way. So we make it, and they make it about them.
Yeah.
We make it about, you don't know what I've been through. I've been hurt. And then that's the thing that we want. We want to feel validated in our pain, but not understanding the way that we're going to feel validated is if we listen and obey and do what we've been called to do in the midst of that hurt. That hurt was not there to destroy us. That hurt was there to raise us up to be what we were designed to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying.
And I promise, bro, I agree with everything you're saying. So don't think that me, commenting about what you're saying, I'm saying, oh, that's wrong. No, I agree with everything you're saying. I just think that you're speaking from a place of strength. It goes back to what Elma said earlier, because everybody you name that operated in fear, but overcame had a process. And what it showed
The
me is that
process.
Absolutely.
in that process, God still had grace in that process. They made bad decisions in that process.
Mm-hmm.
They went
Yeah.
against God's will in that process. They got themselves in some situations in that process. So, going back to the topic, even as parenting, okay, yes, you have a slip up, you have a mishap. That goes back to what, Elma and I was saying earlier. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
have to be open for information because
Yeah.
no, we're not going to always get it right.
Yeah.
Our parents didn't
Absolutely.
always get it right. But to your point, there is still a foundation. And no, we cannot be friends because there's a level of respect that I have to have. And if I'm your friend, you won't have that level of respect for me. So
Mm-hmm.
no, you can't be my homegirl, my homeboy. I need you to take
Right.
instruction and this correction.
That's right. Come on
And
in.
and if we were raised on do as I say and not as I do, as human beings that God created with such a beautifully intricate mind, we know the difference between right and wrong. So at some point, we may not get it when we're younger. As when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought just like a child. But when I got older, I had to make a decision. Some of us are still blaming our parents for the way we are. And we
That's
have to
right.
start making
Come
decisions for
on here.
ourselves because now we're thinking when I became a man or when I became an
Mm-hmm.
adult, I put away those childish thoughts and I replaced them with what though? What are you replacing your childish thoughts with? Are you going from childlike thoughts to negative thoughts, worldly thoughts, culture, social media, and everything that you see that's false on the social media network? Or are you replacing it with the word of God? What God said about me, how he looks at me, how he holds me when nobody else is there, how he's there for me, how he's the best parent. I can't blame my parents all the time anymore because I have to understand, even as a parent myself, I made some mistakes that my
Mm-hmm.
son could come back and say, Mama, just like how you said, Zany, you were saying how your children was like, Ma, you thought that worked, but that really didn't work because yeah. It doesn't speak against
Mhm.
you being a bad parent. It doesn't say that. What it says
Mhm.
is, as a parent, there was some things that I still didn't get right. So
Right.
now build on that. Some people still living on slabs. The foundation. Oh, it's about the foundation only. No. You said we have to be open to new information about what it takes to be a parent today. That's how you build. You build on the foundation and not just continuously live on the slab and think it worked for us back then. It should. No. Things that worked then, you build on those things to now better parent today. That's
I
how you
grew
do
up.
that.
I grew up. We saying do as I say, not as I do. But I grew up on this gonna hurt me more than it hurt you. This
Oh
gonna hurt
yeah.
you more
Yes.
than it hurt me.
Yeah, and it did. And it does.
This
When
gonna
you
hurt
gotta
you more than it hurt me. It hurt me more than it hurt you.
Yeah.
So, but the
When you
the
put your
point that
child on punishment and you can't go nowhere either.
punishment, shoo, boy, go grab the nearest switch off the tree.
And that hurts too. When as a parent, if you have to whoop your baby, that hurts too.
I say that to say this, like, you know, today we've put a sickness on emotions, and now we call it an illness. We put a sickness
Mhm.
on our emotions. When I have to study psychology, and I hear, and they say through study that child development shapes the whole pattern of life. So what you learn as a child, this is what shapes your thought pattern and your core beliefs, what you believe when you get older, even in your young adult years. And in your young adult years, like when you get from like 20 to like 30 or something like that, those are your young adult, you're 35. And then after your young adult years, then it's like you just kind of really lived your life, and you're not scared of,
Yeah.
you lived your life already,
All of
so
your
there's no
experiences.
information. So a lot of us have experienced so much that we don't even have the energy, or we don't even want to go back in, because we live so, some of us lived hard, some of us lived long, some of us lived a lot of life, and a lot of that we don't want to share because it's like just too draining for us, our
To go
mental,
back.
to
Yeah,
go back.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
don't share the information. So I believe the
Mhm.
only way so I say all that to say is, I believe when we go wrong, or we may feel like we don't know, or we're not giving the right information, is when we don't give any information at all.
Wow.
Because
Amen.
there's nothing that we can't say that won't help. If it's don't go that way, you know, that's a warning. You know, saying all this just, hey, you know, go you need to go to the grocery store and just and help somebody to their car. You make money that way. You know, all of these are little seeds that you're planting. So I believe the only way that we can get giving information wrong is when we don't give it at all.
We don't give it at all. That's beautiful.
I agree, Pastor J.
That's right. Zany, it was so good to have you on.
Man, it's
as
so
our
good.
new co-host
Listen,
today. You bring a whole different perspective,
yes,
and I love it.
It was so good to see you
Yes.
and not hear you.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Y'all listen out there in the Shiftville.
But thank you. Let me give a shout out to
Okay.
Shanae. I'm sorry, baby. I
No,
cut
you
you
good.
off.
You good.
Quiana Baxter. Thank you.
Quiana.
Patricia.
Hey, Keisha,
Hey,
and Keisha and Scooter on. Hey, I miss
Scoop,
y'all.
Scoop, we miss y'all.
Latice, hey,
Patricia
baby.
McDonald, man, we love you. Thank you for learning the experience, because that is the best teacher. Thank you for your comment. Thank you so much, y'all. Tiffany Prasad, yes, you have to be open to receive. Thank you, Tiffany. Oh, my boy Peter. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, bro. My sister Latice is on. I love my sister. Oh my God, I thank God for my
Absolutely.
sister. I thank God for where he's
Hey,
taking
little sis.
me and her relationship, man.
But y'all
We're
listen,
growing.
if you
Thank
are
so much.
on and you have
got to
not
cut off.
put your name in the comments so we can know that you came and visited us today, put I Shifted in the comments. And if you have
Like and share.
something to
Like and
say
share. Like and share.
about parenting, put your comments in, because we may go ahead next week and just come back and talk about some more topics on parenting. Y'all, we got to get it right. But it takes a village to raise a kid. God did not create us to be an island on our own and by ourselves. So that's our time for today. What y'all
Man.
think about it?
Man,
Did y'all think about it? We cover everything?
I was in the middle of
so.
thinking. I was
think
in the
we
middle.
did.
I was in the middle.
Baby, you was not in the middle. You was at the end.
What you was in the middle of doing?
Nothing. He was at the
Amanda.
end.
Amanda's on. Hey, Amanda, she go to our church.
All
Thank
right,
you,
y'all. So
Amanda.
listen, if you want to see more content like this, if you want to come back to hear more relationship advice, real talk, let's real talk about it. Next week, same bat channel, same bat place. Share this content, share, like, come to Shift Real Talk TV, subscribe on YouTube. Let's get our numbers up on YouTube. We don't have that many numbers on YouTube,
And listen,
but we know that the content, hold on, baby. We know that the content that we're giving out is going to help somebody in your life and in the life of someone you love. So go to YouTube, Shift Real Talk TV, subscribe. Who is that?
Shakima. She said, hey.
Hi, Shakima. Hey, girl. All right, what was it, Pastor J?
what was what?
Like, share, subscribe. As a matter of fact, go ahead and share right now while we do our closing remarks. Go ahead. I want to see how many people going to share this content. Listen, I'm your girl, Lady Free.
I'm your boy, Pastor J.
And Zany, y'all.
Zany, y'all.
Zany,
and we will see you next week.
yo.
Thanks for watching.